All right, everybody. We are live for this week's episode of the Safely Extreme podcast, where we discuss game design and industry topics. This is for the week of January 31 of 2021, and I will be having my birthday, I think, tomorrow. So we're one day off from that. But thank you so much for coming out. I am, of course, Josh Placer from Game Wisdom, and joining me is my co-host from Nexus Games, Sharky.
Hello, everybody. I am glad to be here. By the way, how does the masochism birthday look like? I mean, is that one where
you get no presents?
You get no presents, and everybody brings, like, instead of you get a cake to eat, everybody brings a pie to shove in your face.
Mm-hmm. And we were also, I guess, in some weird circumstance, it's the first snow here as well. Almost snowed on my birthday.
But it still could.
Yeah, this could go for the next few days. We'll see. But we certainly have some major topics to discuss this week. Our main design topic will be focusing on economy systems when it comes to free-to-play or in a lot of retail games these days as well.
Yeah. But before we get into that, maybe we should get into a few of our qualifications.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the CEO of Nexus Games, currently making Neon Continuum, which has its own brand new economy system that's never been done before, and to be honest, it's been really hard, and I very well could be over my head and not even realize it yet.
Always fun there, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to cover every single basis that I can think of, but truth is, you know, there could be things that I'm not thinking of, and issues I'm not accounting for, and hopefully there's not. At least hopefully there's no major one. As I said the other day, there's 1,000 things that can go wrong, 900 of which will probably completely break everything. And I hope that I at least got rid of all the 900.
Let's see. In terms of news, the looks like the CCO of Sega is stepping down, who was the series director of Yakuza. Apparently, Sega is going through some major restructuring right now.
Hopefully that's not a bad sign.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
And speaking about major restructuring, the news that seems to be capturing everyone's attention is some kind of stock market GameStop insanity right now.
Oh yeah. Everybody should go buy GameStop stocks, or should they? They shouldn't probably. Well, I put it this way: if you buy a lot of things from GameStop, maybe go buy some stocks. But if you're not, then probably don't.
There's your marketing advice for the week, people.
Basically, only if you would endorse the thing should you buy stocks in the thing. And I honestly don't know anybody who probably watching our videos that would endorse GameStop. So
Yeah. Probably not a lot of people will endorse a pay to win, free to play as well, but we'll see.
nope.
Yeah, I have no love lost for the stock market or GameStop, so I'm just sitting over here in the snow right now.
Yeah, in the end, the stock market is a economy system meant to manipulate other economy systems, and it's rich people playground basically to get richer, and poor people program to get poor.
Isn't everything a rich person playground at this point?
Not everything. I mean, like, trash pickup isn't a rich person's playground. Neither is employment at McDonald's.
Who knows what will happen in the next 50 years? Maybe cyberpunk will really happen.
I mean,
It'll be a cyber McDonald's.
I am basing my story in the Continuum, which is cyberpunk. It's sci-fi overall, but cyberpunk at its heart. I am basing that story off of a possible future for humanity.
There we go.
So it's based in a it's based in realism, but a potential future realism kind of thing.
But and speaking about like things being topical, of course, we've been playing a lot of Resident Evil, dealing with viruses and trying to find cures for them, which feels very weird in 2021, doesn't it?
Just a hair.
Although at least we don't have any like lickers and hunters roaming the streets yet, but it's still early 2021.
I mean, if Umbrella Corp actually did make the corona, we might have it. And in case anybody's wondering what I'm referring to there is an actual real Umbrella Corp located in China. Which everybody's saying made the coronavirus, and that's been debunked so many times. But if they had, then we would probably have liquors and everything else running around.
I don't know. If one of the medical people goes on TV, his name is Abe Wesker. I think I'm going to start getting a gun at that point. All right. But with that, anything else news related going on this week?
Not that I can think of.
All right.
Besides, like, at least game dev related. I mean, we have the Dogecoin, all, memeing it up. And, it shot up in value, and, likelihood is it'll shoot down in value right after people get confident that it's going to make them money, and then they'll sell all their stuff, and then it'll shoot right back up in value, and then they'll buy more, and then when they buy more, it'll shoot down.
Good.
So basically, the way I see it is people overhype it. Everybody comes in because of that overhype, and when they come in, it causes the value to go up. Then everybody that overhyped it sells all their copies, and the value shoots down. And then everybody, that bought high has to now sell low, and then they sell it to the people who originally hyped it, who then rebuy it at low, and then rehype it and drive it high again, and just repeating cycle, taking the money from those group of people.
Great.
That's kind of the repeating pattern we've seen in Bitcoins and such.
All right. A new KOTOR game. I haven't really paid too much attention to that. I'm still hoping we get news about Silent Hills. It'll go really well with my fourth book. Oh, I guess some other news. My third book is officially done. Editing is finished. It's off to the printers and will be out on April 8th of this year. And that's going to be all about roguelite, and all the other lights and likes you can think of when it comes to the rogue genre.
And the rogues.
Mm-hmm.
Like the red lights and the red lights.
And the rouge likes.
Yeah. And the rouge lights.
Yeah.
You already got all the image sources and everything?
Oh, that's been done for months at this point.
That's surprising for you.
Oh, that was due like late last year. My old job's been done with it for the last few months. The editors have been cracking at it.
I thought you were playing all these horror games to get more screenshots.
No, roguelikes is done in April. Horror, that's book 4.
Oh, okay.
You need to get good with the book schedule here. Well, somebody needs to get good with the book schedule.
I'll let you get good with the book schedule. Or fail to.
Mm-hmm. Tencent buying more companies. Well, that could be kind of our segue into our main topic. Because economy systems have become a very, very big part of live service, free-to-play games, and we'll even argue full retail games, as a lot of them have been featuring additional add-ons and bonus resources and currency and whatever.
Although technically it applies to all games, because even just a strict, pay, $15 for this game is still an economy system.
Mm-hmm. But for our focus this week, no, I do not. But the focus that we're going to be talking about are additional purchases either on top of the base game or a free-to-play live service game that has its own in-game store, economy system, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there is certainly a lot that can go into this conversation, as we've spoken about many times here, as well as having Ramin on for a lot of his thoughts on it.
Yeah, this is going to be a long topic.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm stuck inside of the snow, so I'm not going anywhere right now.
It's snowed in.
Mm-hmm.
Edward?
Yeah. So, where to begin? I guess where you want to start, because we can approach this from a lot of different angles.
Where do I want to start? I honestly don't know.
Should we talk about designing a game to make use of it, or like pricing and that kind of convention?
let's start with designing the game for it, because like
Okay.
the you know a lot of people think about this badly,
Mm-hmm.
but you should be designing your currency system, whatever it is, at the beginning of the game development, not at the end. Don't paste it on at the end, because then you'll feel pasted on and you'll feel really bad. And you need to figure out how you want to monetize your game. Now, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking about figuring this out before you even have a solid gameplay loop.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay loop first, and then after you have something that you're going to go with, then start working on it. You don't have to do it all right that second, but it needs to start working. And you judge based off of the core gameplay loop what is going to be best for this game. Is this going to be best as a game that is just a flat $15? Is this going to be best as a game that goes into early access? Is this going to be a game that would be good as a Kickstarter campaign? Is this
Mm-hmm.
a game that would be best as a subscription based month to month model? Is this
Yeah.
a game that would be best as a free to play game? And a lot of that goes off your core gameplay loop, because if your core gameplay loop is a single player loop, you're probably not going to want to go with free to play or subscription based. You're probably
Mm-hmm.
going to want to go with early access, Kickstarter, or just a release at a solid price. But if,
Mm-hmm.
if if your game is strictly multiplayer kind of thing, then you'll probably want to either go with um, a subscription model, a free to play model, or a paid model,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
maybe an early access model, but that would be really kind of rare.
yeah, and to build off of what Shark just said, that you need to be considering this very early. And there's a very wide gap between games that kind of shoehorn in an economy system, 50 to 70% done their game, versus those that build their entire game from the ground up from it. And even with that said, that doesn't make it automatically better. Because we've seen plenty of games built over the last 10 years that they came with their economy systems very early on, and they were very predatory and exploitive for the fan base.
Mm-hmm. Of course, there are also many economy systems that were patched on at the end that were
Mm-hmm.
even more predatory.
Oh yes, and one of the very weird things, and this actually gets to Mister's question right there, is that the major problem, what Shark is definitely going to have to fight with Neon Continuum, is that it's very easy to make these systems manipulative. I mean, it is ludicrously easy. I mean, again, like Rami and I could probably design the most manipulative, exploitive, addictive online game with everything that we've learned and seen over the last
Mm-hmm.
20 years.
Yeah, it's really easy to make it manipulative and get try to squeeze every penny out of somebody. It's
Mm-hmm.
very hard to design one that has consumers in mind, that will be a good economy, both in the fact of it's not predatory, and in the
Mm-hmm.
fact of that it actually makes money.
Yeah,
Because the
and
thing is about the predatory stuff, it's generally pretty easy to make money with that, but with the non-predatory stuff, it is way harder to make money.
and that is the one of the major points about this and why it's so difficult to do is that at the end of the day, the developer needs money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
That is just the basic fact. No live service, ongoing game, anything like that will survive without revenue coming in. And no matter how much you want to say, oh, I'll support a game, I can't believe this game is dying or whatever. If a game is going months, if not years, without getting ongoing support, it's not going to last.
No.
And it is that very, awkward give and take that you have to deal with if you're designing a free-to-play game or any game with an economy system in it. Now, if your game is retail, the stuff that we see from EA, 2K, and so on, that is kind of, burning the candle at both ends, or, having your cake and eating it too.
Yeah.
And that is often considered far more manipulative than if it's just a free-to-play live service game that has monetization on top of it.
Yeah. But then there's also, WoW that burns the candle at both ends too, because they charge for the game, and then they have the subscription model. Don't they
And
have
if
other
yeah,
monetizations? They're actually burning it at three ends.
3 or 4 different ends are
Yeah.
burning it.
Yeah.
There's like tossing it in the oven.
Yeah.
And it is tough to find examples. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do have a cash shop at this point as well, Board Fan.
Yeah.
And this is why it's very hard to come up with a system that is all around perfect. And this is, again, it's very tricky because when I spoke with Ramin about, he's developing his own game that he wants it to be as, free to play, friendly, not manipulative at all. But the problem is when we talk about the infamous pay to win phrase, is that it's not on or off. It's not that, the game's either pay to win or it's not. It's often at different degrees. And I've seen that with a lot of the free to play and mobile games that I've played over the last 6 months.
Yeah, because some games are free to play, as in or pay to win rather, in such a way that if you don't pay, there's no way you can make it anywhere, kind of thing. Because all the good characters, all the characters that win, are all for sale and blocked behind a paywall, so there's no way to possibly go anywhere with it, unless you pay. And then there's others that will allow you to earn some of that, whether it's, and depending on how much they let you earn to how much pay to win that game is, kind of thing. Of course, there's other aspects to it than that, but that's one of the big ones, kind of thing.
And to Board Fans' comment, yeah, there are aspects that people don't view as pay to win that are very much pay to win. Cosmetics being one of the principal examples of it. Because there are plenty of free-to-play, even retail games that will have customized skins, special sound effects, premium skins, and something like LOL. And you cannot earn those with free currency, period. Like, there will never be a point where they'll be available for that. They are only purchasable only.
Yeah, but that would only apply if they had stats attached to them. If they don't have stats, then it wouldn't be pay to win, but it'd be still free to play, kind of thing. And
it would still be manipulative for a lot of people.
Yeah, as the manipulations, I mean, cosmetics is literally the most manipulative thing there is. A lot of people, say it's just cosmetics and whatnot, which is things that EA and everybody have, brainwashed people into saying.
Don't forget surprise mechanics.
Yeah, surprise mechanics too. Which I expect that to be used against me at some point.
Oh, yes. Again, everyone tells Char Neon Continuum is pay to win. Get him inoculated for that now.
But the thing is that the reason why cosmetics are literally the most abusive, and pay to win is the number 2 abusive, is because when you talk about pay to win games, people get into those and they find out that it's a pay to win game, and they either not happy with that and they leave, kind of thing, get on with their lives, and it has very minimum impact on them. or they acknowledge it and they get into there, and then they will, go to a certain level, whether that's, staying free to play the entire time and being lesser on that degree, or
Mm.
if it's, um going hard into the pay to win, or anywhere in between kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they lose the money. But where cosmetics really differ is that cosmetics will impact a lot of people, and it's not just in game, it'll be in real life kind of thing,
Yeah.
because there are many stories where kids were bullied in school because they did not have the latest Fortnite skins.
Or
And
you're on the starter character. You don't have anything special unlocked or anything like that.
and the thing is those kids have one of basically three choices. Either they can continue to be bullied and picked on and suffer mental trauma for the rest of their life over it. They can, try to convince their parents, and somehow convince their parents they to buy into that, and possibly, if the family's not, in a hard shape, that'll put them into a harder living shape, or they can steal money kind of thing, and then they've just made themselves a thief.
Hmm. Or they quit the game and then they can't do anything with their friends and be ostracized.
Yeah. And it's, and when I say this, I don't mean all cosmetics are bad. That is referring to cosmetics behind a paywall.
Hmm.
When anything is paywalled, it is abusive to the
Yeah.
consumers.
And excuse me, I want to get back to a point we were talking about a few minutes ago about that line of pay to win when it comes to progress. Because that is a very big point and something that we see a lot of free to play games have different philosophies over. Some free to play games will say, okay, the story campaign, the basic progression, that is free to play. And then the second you jump into any kind of PvP, arena, clan, alliance, whatever you want to call it, content, you need to spend money or you're not going to do anything. Some games will often allow everything to be free, but give paying players more shots at everything. So
Mm-hmm.
this will be more energy. They may have, the ever popular VIP system that the more you spend in a game, every time you hit a certain VIP threshold, more quality of life options unlock for you. So that, yes, you can play the game free, but you're playing it as, the second or third class citizen version of this game. And then, of course, there are games that it's free to play, but it is so skewed against that free to play model that you either need to become stupidly lucky with drops and whatever, or you have to spend money and get, whatever is the new hotness or the meta for that period.
Mm-hmm. And to me's point about what is a good mobile model for mobile fighting game,
Mm-hmm.
there isn't one, because basically a good model is one that is made specifically for that specific game. And doing so is not an easy task.
Mm-hmm. And I know there are several like fighting or fighting style mobile games. Contest of Champions, MK11 has one. I know there's like I think a wrestling one that came out earlier in 2020. And again, the problem, and this is what we were talking about at the start of this conversation, is you have to integrate the monetization into the gameplay. But unfortunately, that almost always comes at the cost of the gameplay itself.
Unless you build one specifically for the gameplay that you have.
Hmm.
And you need to build it for the gameplay you have, and preferably pro consumer, not anti consumer, not any of these abusive models. And one of the key things when you're building a model financial model for this. If you want to not be abusive, don't do any paywalls. Don't do any specific time limited things. And by specific time limited things, as in this is a limited time, and once this time expires, you will never ever get a shot at this again.
As a really good example of that, I was trying out the mobile game not Illusion Connect, Princess Connect. They're all calling themselves Connect these days. I don't know why.
Classio Connects.
There you go. And the first 7 days when you sign in, they have an offer that you can do a specific gacha that guarantees you a 3-star character, which is kind of like the highest rarity in that game at the moment. But it can only be done using premium currency. You cannot use the in-game version of that currency. You must specifically spend money, which I think it's like $10 or $15. I forget how much. I don't know what the currency rate is. Oh, we have to talk about currency rates in the at some point of our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to spend money to get the paid version of their premium currency to roll on that gacha. And after 7 days, it is permanently gone from your account. You will never get that offer again.
Yeah, I believe they call that pinching, where you force a player to open their wallets at this point, or else they will never get such an item.
Now, we do
abusive.
need to clarify. You can have stuff like seasonal events, the holiday edition, Halloween, New Year's, whatever, if that stuff becomes an annual event.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have, I don't know, the pumpkin hat available Halloween 2020, then that pumpkin hat better be back in October of 2021.
And all the people who were there for 2020 will expect more for 2021. So you better have a pumpkin hat and a witch's hat or something for 2021. Of course, I would probably suggest you to have a little bit meatier inventory than that, but you need to include you need to keep on including it every year, kind of thing, because while it can be a limited time event kind of thing, that item needs to continue to come in.
And to Richard's comment, the big thing is that you don't want new players to feel like they are getting less of a game.
You don't want them to feel like second-class citizens because they didn't find the game until yesterday. And now you're telling them to basically screw off because they didn't find it soon enough.
And this has been something that a lot of developers have struggled with. Even Darkest Dungeon ran into this issue with their free cosmetic for the Musketeer. That it was a Kickstarter backer exclusive skin that a lot of people did not get to because they didn't know about the game during Kickstarter. And because it was the only in-game cosmetic option in a game that people were clamoring for more cosmetic stuff in that game, a lot of people felt like they were being cheated out on the experience. And it took them, I want to say 3 years, maybe 2 to 3 years after the release to finally say, we're just going to have it as, can we put this as a microtransaction for people to buy now? And they did it.
Richard, you do need different stuff every year, but you also need the same stuff every year on top of the different stuff.
You need to make your game welcoming to new players as well as keeping your core and hardcore fans.
I wouldn't say Kickstarter rewards are never
fair. Like stuff like your name in the credits or,
physical item.
Yeah.
And designing a character because you put so much money in,
Yeah. You get your own in-game story, you get your own in-game character, like that kind of stuff,
Meeting the developer?
Is fine. Yeah. If we're talking about content that's kind of like, that could be like universal for the game, like a custom, a cape design that cannot be, or a cosmetic item that cannot be found anywhere else but Kickstarter,
That.
that would be a different story.
Mm-hmm.
If it's, the custom variant of a cape that everyone can get a cape, that's a different thing.
But I would limit how much custom that is. Like if it has like their name on it, then yeah.
Yeah.
But if it has like a cool new design on it, then no.
Some developers, what they'll do is they'll have the Kickstarter variant, and then they'll have either the free-to-play or paid variant be slightly off. So it could be, here's a model that is, primary color blue, secondary color green, and then the paid version is primary color green, secondary color blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, though, if it is an event and you repeat that event, then people expect that content to become available.
Mm-hmm. Because if I'm playing the game for 6 months or so, and I see people wearing this cosmetic from whatever event kind of thing, and I really like that cosmetic and everything, and I get into that next event, the next, let's say, Halloween event, and it's a pumpkin hat, and there's no pumpkin hat, I'm going to be very, very unhappy because I really want that cosmetic, and I can't get it because I wasn't here before, because I hadn't heard of the game, because your marketing campaign did not reach me. Should I be punished because your marketing campaign did not reach me?
Yeah. And to board fans' comment, are you referring to non-repeating events as stuff like daily grinds, or do you mean non-repeating events? Wait, what are your thoughts on non-repeating events? So, are you referring to like? I know some mobile games and free-to-play games will have kind of like a limited time story chapter where they'll release, let's say, a new 10-map campaign that's only available for 2 weeks. Is that what you're referring to? And while I wait for him to respond, so part of this challenge, again, is the more it's integrated into the system, the more you're going to find that your gameplay kind of rubs up against it. And we see this especially when retail games try to do monetization and economy systems. We were talking about Battlefront 2 the other night. That when Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out, it was heavily criticized for its economy system, with the loot boxes and even tying special rewards or special skills to those loot boxes. And that is a very big challenge. Getting back to what Mr. was saying, is that when you tie power into purchases, you play a very dangerous game with your community.
Yeah, a very bad game. And you don't want to do that. You never want to tie power to that.
And this is the tough part about this. That here's 2 examples of what I've seen with some of the mobile games I've played. So with something like Marvel Strike Force, you can play through the campaign relatively well. But if you want to go beyond that, if you want to get, the best counters in the game, if you want to do alliance mode or whatever they want to call it, raid content, you need specific characters. Not just specific characters in terms of name, but specific roles. You need a very powerful healer. You need a very powerful tank, whatever. And to get that, you need to rely on their monetization. You need to spend premium currency to get additional shards. You have to get those characters. If you don't get them, you are going to not only be left behind, but if you're participating in like a clan or alliance-based content, they could easily kick you out of that if you aren't able to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another example is from kind of gacha focused games. Stuff like Azure Lane, Princess Connect, Illusion Connect, 7 Deadly Sins. Again, so many of these games. Hey, Foreign. In these titles, what they do is every character is a unique individual. So you can have special functionality tied to your, and to make things easier for everyone, we'll refer to rarity in terms of, rare, super rare, and ultra rare. We'll just deal with like those three kind of categories for right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the ultra rare characters are going to have unique functionality compared to the other one. But you can still have a solid attempt with R and SR characters. Now, for what they do though is instead of making it so that you can just directly buy them, they just allow you to keep buying currency, and they keep the rates incredibly low. So Genshin Impact would be a huge example of this from last year. That anybody and everyone can roll on one of their banners. The chance of you getting something was what? 0.06% of getting an ultra rare character. So here's my question for you, Shark, and for the audience. If you keep those rates stupidly low, so that it's not a case of somebody can just spend money and they magically get it, it's just you get more shots at that. Is that more or less fair than the idea of just allowing people to spend money to get shards and whatever?
I would say it's less fair.
Mm-hmm.
Because in many sense of the word, that's gambling.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this unique thing I want to examine here, and that's like the difference between like a game like Magic the Gathering
Mm-hmm.
and a game like Hearthstone. Because while on the surface, they look the same. Because they're CCGs that have, you buy a card pack and it has a certain amount of cards. And then you get those cards and you play with them. The big difference between them is that, number one, Magic Gathering being a physical game, it's had to go through many consumer protections, and in one of those is the Gambling Commission. So they've had to meet regulations and everything to not be considered as gambling. Where Hearthstone being a digital game, and they have that I can't say it, obfuscated
Obscured?
currency.
Or okay.
They have that other currency that you have to buy, because that's not directly linked to your normal currency. They can skirt past regulation. That's what the paid currency was invented for, to skirt past regulations.
Yeah.
So basically anything with a paid currency is technically abusive because it's skirting past regulations.
Yep. And
So
the whole paid currency, there are games that only allow you to buy the premium currency, while some games will let you earn it in drips and drabs.
Mm-hmm. But the big difference is that see, when you buy a Magic the Gathering pack, they are required by law to tell you how many cards you're going to get in that pack. They got to tell you what's going to be in that pack, like one rare, three uncommons, one full card of any rarity, and it could be an extra rare. There's a 1 in 6 chance it's going to be an extra rare, and you're going to get 7 common cards. They have to list out odds. They have to list out values of rarity and specific numbers of each value of rarity, so that as a consumer, you are not purchasing you're not purchasing the cards based off of this is a specific card I want. You're purchasing cards based off of the rarities. I'm purchasing 1 rare, 1 foil, 3 uncommons, and 7 commons, and that is the value. That is a set value that pack offers, and therefore, when you set money to it, it is legal because it's not gambling because there is a set value there. Now, on the other hand, Hearthstone, what they do is they give you one rare card, which, mind you, is double manipulative because it's not actually a rare card. It's an uncommon card because they skip directly from common to rare. So it's just an uncommon card renamed as a rare. So they give you one uncommon card and they give you 4 other cards. And those 4 other cards are completely random, or at least they used to be completely random, until they got the AI system in there that monitors your gaming activity and will just give you enough to keep you playing. So it's worse than being completely random because it's completely trying to screw you over, essentially, because it's giving you the very minimum cards that it thinks you need to keep on playing. Yeah. So if it thinks that you need one good usable common card that would go in your deck, it'll give you that. But if it doesn't, it'll give you a whole bunch of crap that you don't want. If it thinks you need one rare card that has no value to you at all, but it's a rare, so you can say you got a rare, it'll give that to you. If it thinks that you need a rare that has value to you, it'll give you that, and so on and so forth.
We need to stop and also clarify that even if your game features a milling system, as in you can take copies of you don't use or you don't need and eventually apply to something that you can, that does not make this better. Because oftentimes, to get that ultra rare, you may need to pull maybe 500 to 1,000 commons to maybe get that one that you need. So it's basically like you're going to spend $500 to $1,000, and then you'll get that free ultra rare.
Mm-hmm. And with Magic the Gathering system is you're getting a set value for a set amount of money, so you're not gambling. Where in Hearthstone, you're getting a set value on one card, that one uncommon, but everything else is completely random. It's worse than random, and it is worse. It's rigged gambling, rigged against you gambling kind of thing.
And it's something that a lot of countries are getting very locked down or very concerned about when it comes to monetization systems. And I want to go to 2 things in the comments really fast. So to what Board Fan was talking about in terms of having limited time story events, I think that's actually a really big waste of resources. That if you're going to spend months developing exclusive story content that can only be experienced one time, and if you're not there, you miss it, that seems like a waste of resources to me.
Yeah, it's not only a waste of resources, but everybody who doesn't get to do it is going to be mad at you. So you're going to have to spend all the resources on it, and then, not get much for it, and then get a lot of people mad at you because of it.
I could see, you release it, and then let's say there's, an exclusive reward or, some additional resource if you do it then, but then you just have that as kind of in a story pool that you can always access. Because, again, part of the challenges of live service or just game development in general is that you want to make the most out of all your content that you have developed. This is one of the reasons why we say that spending 6-7 months on something that's only going to give you 20 minutes of content is not going to be the best use of your development time. But if you spend 3 to 4 months on a new multiplayer map that can provide many hours of varying content because different people will experience it differently, that can come back and help you.
Mm-hmm. And Tony says that Magic is hella overpriced, and I don't agree with that. Because when it comes to card games, I think Magic the Gathering is one of the cheapest and best when it comes to that kind of thing. Unless you consider all card games overpriced, because Yu-Gi-Oh cards are about twice the price, and if not more, and they come with less cards, and their game is very pay to win, so you can only win if you have certain cards. Because there's a video that Josh and I watched on that recently that was posted in the Discord by somebody. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember who posted it. But like
I
it's
think it was either Pony or Rats. I'm not sure now.
yeah, I'm thinking it might
Yeah.
be one of those two. But like it's very pay to win. It's very and it
And
costs twice as much. And then you look at Hearthstone, and Hearthstone is $1 cheaper. It's $2 instead of $3 a pack compared to Magic the Gathering, but it comes with 5 cards that are very abusive in gambling versus the like 13 cards you get for $3 that are non-abusive, in Magic the Gathering. And you look at many other games and they all offer, generally stuff worse than Magic the Gathering does. So like, I don't find, yeah, but in Hearthstone, you get 0 that are useful for $2,
and
and only 5 of them, 5 useless things instead of 1 or 2 useful things in Magic the Gathering, and all of the cards are useful if you don't have a lot of other cards.
hmm. And again, it really comes down to how these games are designed.
Mm-hmm.
And that in and of itself could be, I think, way too big for this discussion about designing a game with this in mind, but we'll see. To Rat's comment earlier about the secondary market, that is definitely its own unique topic. I think that would go beyond ours. But yes, there are people who have certainly made a living buying and selling cards and such. There are many YouTubers who have Yu-Gi-Oh and TCG unboxing and selling channels.
Mm-hmm.
And like speaking about Yu-Gi-Oh, like the example that I thought was just very funny or just completely like anti-game design was when it first came out. There was only one card that had 1800 attack, and everything else was lower than that. So literally, that card beat everything else in the game when Yu-Gi-Oh first came out.
Mm-hmm. And it's the only card in the game at that point, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes very pay to win.
We all hate video games here, right, Board? I think it was the Genie. I think that was like the first OG overpowered or pay to win.
Yeah, and Harvey's brother was one of those that came along later.
Hmm. And this is again the challenge of these live service games, especially the economy system, is that when you add in new content, that has to then be judged with everything else. And this is where the economy can get really crazy because many developers will create arms races. Okay, so month 3, we're going to release a character that has, 5,000 attack. And then month 4, we're going to release a character who now has 5250 attack. And they can just keep playing the player base against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen this a lot with kind of gotcha or, character collecting driven kind of design.
Yeah, and when we're not saying that you can't go to high powers kind of thing,
Mm.
but you have to be aware of power creep. And
Yeah.
you know, the thing is there's ways to address it in the design. Like you can have like a really powerful card and make it cost a lot to actually get out, kind of thing. Or you can have a really powerful card that, instead of costing a lot to get out, it costs, a little to get out, but it has lots of negative effects, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And
it's
and
it's
there's
all about balance.
yeah. And there's two kinds of, I think, power creep for this conversation. The first is literal stat raising. And we see this with a lot of gotcha focused games or character collectors or even TCGs that have tons and tons and tons of things to do. That something you release year 1 compared to something that you release in year 5 is probably not going to do as well. And to board fans coming, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a very big example of that. As they would
Mhm.
literally raise the attack and defense levels of newer sets. So in the first set, the max power was 1800. Maybe set 3 or 4, now the max level is like 3000. And what ends up happening, of course, is that you're essentially forced on that treadmill of buying and hoping to get that new stuff. Because it doesn't matter if you're the best player in the world if your strongest monster only has 1500 attack.
Yeah.
And the other example, and this is the Hearthstone example, is that what they do is, mana costs I think have kept relatively same or stable over the years. But newer cards have more effects and more value compared to the older one.
Or they just have, or they're not necessarily newer cards, but rare cards. Because they'll release new cards that are the same as the old ones. Mm-hmm. This is a 3 mana cost, and it has 3 attack and 3 defense, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And that was in the first set, and it was in the new set, but under a different name with a different picture, kind of thing. Where and then they release a rare card that has 3 mana cost, and it's 4 attack power, 3 defense, or it's like a 3 attack, 3 defense, and it's got like a power, like draw a card, or any number of other things that are clearly better, and there would be no reason to run the original.
And that right there is the big point. That if you have content in your game that is worthless, that is simply, a spender's trap or a new player's trap, that is very manipulative. Again, how many cards are in Hearthstone, and how many of them are actually viable? Probably,
I think about 30.
Yeah.
And there's probably about 3,000 cards in there.
And this is the point. Like, do you want a 3 mana, 3 attack, 3 defense card that does nothing? Or do you want a 3 mana, 3 attack, 3 defense card that can immediately do 4 points of damage upon summoning?
And instantly win the game.
Yeah. And this is one of those issues that we see in a lot of these games. Like, a lot of the Japanese and Chinese-based gacha games, what they will often do is character levels or character rarity in of itself doesn't do as much. You still need to grind, gear, level them, rank, however you want to call it. But the ultra rare characters will have some special ability to them. Maybe one character can have lifesteal. Maybe one character will summon minions. And in this aspect, it is on the manipulative side, because we're basically saying, do you like this really cool power you really want for your team? You better start spending money for it. Or have enough resources you saved in order to get a shot at it.
Yeah.
Currency. And again, like to Rat's comment, it's what we see in a lot of free-to-play games. That they will give free players a chance to get these resources. And it does help. Again, pay to win is not a yes or no answer. It's, different degrees of it. The 2 ones that I play right now, I get free currency every day by doing daily quests or whatever. But the challenge is, and this we have to weigh it to, how much do you need to play to get a free roll? So, hopefully I can remember this. In Illusion Connect, I think it's 1,200 premium, or it's either 1,000 or 1,200 to get 1 10 pull. And each day you can maybe earn, I want to say, like 100 to 200 free gems. So in a week, if I play this game daily for over the course of 1 week, I will get 1 10 pull. But of course, that is on the assumption that I can get that premium character with 1 single 10 pull, which is very rare.
And if we want to hold up, what did Richard say here?
And that is a tough question. That is something that every developer needs to ask. Because some developers, and this is what we see from a lot of AAA companies that are trying to double dip, they'll make it endless. They will just keep demanding that you spend money, and there is no upper limit. 2K, with their games, is a really good example of this. Some games will allow you to have the quote-unquote pity system. So this is something I see from a lot of Japanese-style gacha games. They will say that you can roll, or you can spend money, or use free currency to do these gacha pulls. When you hit X number, we're giving to you for free. Doesn't matter what happens, you hit that number of pulls, we're giving you that character for free. Now, of course, that could still be a lot of money. I think with Genshin Impact, pity was like $100 per banner to get that one character.
Yeah, I know with the Bleach game I used to play, the way it worked is you needed a certain amount of, with its banners, or with all of its characters, you needed a certain amount of shards to combine into the character kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And with the banners, it would give you, you know, like every so many rolls, it would give you so many shards on a reward banner. And then you could also get the shards in the boxes that you're rolling kind of thing. But the thing is the odds of getting something in the box was pretty low. Yeah, I think it was like some of them were, you basically had no, like 1% chance of getting something in the box, and others were you had a guaranteed chance to get one of the two special things in a box, and then you had a very low odds of getting anything else kind of thing. And, you know, besides the base rewards on everything else. But they would only give you that guarantee is if you did a 10 roll and not a 1 roll.
Oh, that's a really good point there, Shark. That's another thing that I see a lot of these games will do. That they'll give you the option of a 1 pull or a 10 pull, but they will explicitly say that every 10 pull will guarantee you a SR or an SSR character.
Mm-hmm.
So, but here's the thing. A 10 pull is not the same as 10 individual pulls. And that is very manipulative.
Mm-hmm. Very.
Oh. And yeah, and to Sharks, to your example you just said, we see there's a lot of these rates that what they'll do is they'll say you have a 1.25% chance of pulling an ultra rare character from a banner. Now, on the, you know, custom or limited time banner, you'll have a 1.25% chance. But in that 1.25% chance, you'll have, let's say, a 30 or 50% chance of pulling the named character for that banner.
Mm-hmm.
And here's like the strangest thing, because people will say the system is fair because it is completely random, or it should be. Again, the Hearthstone example, that is very skeezy.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of gacha-based games, they will adhere to that percent chance. And you'll have people who get stupidly lucky. Apparently, I have reverse XCOM luck when I play gacha games. Like, I will get those 1%, 0.6% pulls. And it's happened in 3 different gacha games I played. Guardian Hero, or Guardian Tales, Azur Lane, and Princess Connect. In each one of those games, I got those miracle pulls. I think they must know I don't spend a lot of money. They're trying to give me, you know, they give me Josh luck or they give me Josh rates when I do those banner pulls. Like, I just told Shark the story that I was playing a Princess Connect, and in 110 pool, I got 3 ultra rare characters. Literally, 3 of them in a single 10 pool with a 1.2% chance of pulling just 1. I believe I broke the universe with that 110 pull right there.
Yeah.
It's all the odds.
That's for sure. Like I always say, you can get lucky, but you can't get good.
Yeah. So again, I've just wasted. Here's the bad news. I think I waste all my good luck playing the gacha game. So then when I need it in real life, I have 0 luck in my tank.
Yeah. I mean, you pulled a heart of the card moment the last time you played, and you had to continue.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and to Richard's comment, this is getting back to your previous question. This is a tough thing to ask because some developers will say they will impose a hard limit on purchases, and this can be done by, let's say, instead of you having to randomly roll for characters or for gear, you just basically say that there are, let's say, every time I do a gotcha pull or a banner pull, will not get any duplicates. So if there is literally 100 characters in my game, that means after 100 pools, I don't need to spend any more money. Now, of course, this is at least on the fair side for free-to-play players or just for players in general. But developers don't like this because it puts a limit on how much money they can earn per player. Mm-hmm. When you don't have that limit, people can just keep spending endlessly. Will you have somebody who gets, the perfect roll, never have to spend money? Yes. But that is what, like a 0.6% chance and maybe less than 0.25% of your entire fan base.
Also, I think psychologically it ruins part of the gameplay because the fact is getting doubles makes you more appreciate the non-doubles kind of thing.
And what I see from a lot of gotcha based games is that doubles will have uses. That this is how you rank up characters. So that even if you do get a duplicate of a character, there is value there.
Yeah, now, maybe you even want the duplicate.
Yeah. And that's another money sink that I see from a lot of these games. It's, yes, you just pulled that ultra rare character. Good for you. You're going to need 3 more copies to get their super skill unlocked. Have fun there.
Yeah. You got to pull that 10 pull roll off with all 3 of them 3 more times or 2 more times.
Yeah. And to Rat's Tail's point, this is the thing we see again from a lot of Japanese and Chinese-based gacha games. That there's 2 kinds of... let me see if I get this right. Yeah, there's 2 kinds of pity system. The one that we mentioned earlier, that they will say, okay, after X amount of rolls, you automatically get that character. What a lot of them will also do is say, if you roll X amount of times and you do not get an ultra rare character, we will begin to tilt the scales in your favor. Now, here's the little secret. It's a very, 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 very small tilt. So what they'll do is, I saw this with Arknight, that you have a 1% chance of pulling a 6-star character. When you do 50 pulls, which I think is like $50 or $100, and you do not get a 6-star, they will add a percent for each additional pull. So the 51st time you pull, you'll now have a 2% chance of getting a 6-star. 52nd, you'll have a 3% chance. And this will keep going up and up until you eventually get that 6-star pull. When you get that 6-star pull, you lose all those points. You go back down to a 1% chance until you get 50 pulls again that you did not get a 6-star character.
Yeah. And to Richard's point, all of those things are called abusive, but that's wrong. That's incorrect. I mean, that's what people are calling it. And you'll have to fight the social norms of people considering that. But the fact is the way you charge people, the transaction method is not abusive. There's nothing abusive about how you collect money, whether it's through PayPal, whatever method. It's the systems that run on that can be abusive. You can have a single pay game that is very, very abusive, because the fact is you put it up there, you put all these amazing screenshots, this amazing trailer and everything, and then you launch a game and figure out that all that was a lie.
Sorry, I had a cough there.
Yeah. You find out that all of it's a lie. None of that stuff is actually in the game. None of it is. And you paid for this game, and assuming that you did not buy it on Steam, there is no refunds, kind of thing, and you just got screwed over on your money off of that. So it's not the transaction method that 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 um that causes it. It is
How's
the
it?
the systems, the
Yeah.
and how you deliver them. And the thing is you also have to, when you build a system, you have to build it in such a way that, ideally it's consumer friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally it will earn you money and break even, so or better, so that you can continue to make games.
Mm-hmm.
And getting that into the same package is very, very hard.
Yeah. And again, like the major point for this conversation, this is not on and off. I know I keep saying that, but it's important to stress. One implementation of a system could be completely ethical and fair to players. Another version of that system could be manipulative and pay to win. And this is why it is very hard for developers to fight this. Because even if you do things right, people are still going to call it pay to win. I would bet money that they're going to call Neon Continuum pay to win.
Yeah.
I bet a lot of money they're going to call Ramin's game pay to win.
Mm-hmm. And since we're on Neon Continuum, the new word of the day, let's talk a little
Mm-hmm.
bit about my game and the economy system I have designed for it, because I have designed the economy system to be as consumer friendly as possible, at the same time as being able to make money. Now, it is a
Mm-hmm.
free to play game with a completely new free to play model, and the there is, number one, no paywalls, so anybody in the game can get any item in the game. Now, then, they cannot buy anything in bulk without paying money. They have to pay money to buy bulk, because, I mean, it doesn't make sense for them to save up free currency to buy in bulk. They shouldn't say, get, cheaper prices because they saved up more. Because, number one, saving up more would wreck the economy of this game, and saving up more, that's not something to be rewarded, kind of thing. That's, hoarding money is not a, something you should reward people for.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no paywall. So, like, you can go and, as a free player, and buy whatever cosmetic you want in the game. You can go and buy whatever card you want, either through a card pack, or you can go into the marketplace and buy a single. Now, those singles are not just placed there by me. Those singles are sold by other people and then bought by the people. So it's a limited supply. And it works off there's going to be an AI system there that works off of supply and demand. Basically, figuring out how many people are willing to sell a card for such a price, and how many are willing to buy it for such a price. And mind you that, it works like a traditional card shop would, to where they sell it at like 100% of the value, and they buy it for like 50 or 40%. So, like, let's say this one particular rare, um, you have an equal number of people willing to sell it for 40 cents and an equal number of people willing to buy it for $1. So you get that equilibrium kind of thing. And basically, the AI will adjust over a long term, and get the right prices so that supply and demand is met. And, so it'll be the people who, play the game that shape the prices of it. It'll be in marketed adjusted prices. And, then you have the fact that the all the card packs will be set card packs, like Magic of the Gathering. When you go buy a pack, you know exactly what you're going to get. This isn't a specific example, but let's just say, one rare, one foil, three uncommons, and seven uncommons. either way, you know exactly what you're going to get when you buy a thing. And you know that there's, let's say, a 1 out of 6 chance for that full card to be an extra rare. Now, you can buy that extra rare independently on the shop if somebody's selling it. And of course, based off of what they're selling it, if nobody's selling it, then of course the price will go up until somebody is selling it. And then when you get that supply and demand meet kind of thing, which we're going to try to seed that as much as possible before launch. Mm-hmm. And the other aspect is since you can buy everything with the free currency, what if somebody wants more free currency kind of thing? Well, you can buy more of that free currency. There's only one currency in there. Mm-hmm. So, the reason, now to give them reason, because they have to have a reason to buy the currency, and if we could just be really stingy and not give out very, very little free currency, and then everybody will call us stingy. Or we could, not be so tight. We still need to, limit it kind of thing, but still give them enough that they would be happy with free currency wise. But the main way to get more use out of that is by creating a lot of stuff that they want to buy. Your currency becomes more valuable, your economic system becomes more valuable, the more stuff people want to buy. So if there's things in there that nobody wants to buy, that's not adding anything to your economy. That's just a waste of effort kind of thing. But if you have, like some legitimately good cosmetics that a lot of people want to buy, then you're going to, have a lot better market, kind of thing, a lot better economy. And one of the things that we're doing cosmetic wise to do that, and we need to keep, an eye on scoping everything and keep that very minimum. One thing we're doing is we already have the character art. We, already have, card backs and everything. Everybody's going to want that kind of thing. So what if we have the same card back, but we put a different background in there and we give you 3 different backgrounds kind of thing, or maybe more, maybe less, I don't know, but 3 is right now the idea. 3 different backgrounds that you can trade in there, and then you put whatever character you buy on that background kind of thing, and you can select the zoom on there. So you can have it like zoomed all the way into the face, out to the, chest kind of thing, out to the stomach, out to the, full legs kind of thing. You can select your zoom in there. And then you select where you want to place the Neon Continuum name. Is it at the top? Is it at the bottom? Is it in the middle? Is it on the sides? And you get to customize every cosmetic that or not every cosmetic, but every one of these cosmetics, which will be one for every character in the game, with exactly the way you want it. So, like, even if 100 people buy the same cosmetics as you, kind of thing, the likelihood is they will have a different looking cosmetic than you will, which provides so much value to that cosmetic because there's all that adjustability and personalization of that cosmetic. And when you buy one, you get all of that personalization in that one, and then you can buy more and get more personalization kind of thing, because you'll get more characters, more a lot of things, and it's something really cheap to put in there.
Yeah, and this goes to what Richard was saying. What are they paying for? Because you need to make these purchases have value to the player. And this also links to what BoardFan was saying about subscription models. That some subscription models are just literally, we give you the key to get in the game, that's it. That was the World of Warcraft one. What we see from a lot of free-to-play games is that the subscription model will often give you multiple rewards, multiple quality of life features that are built on top of that to add to that value.
Right.
And the challenge of when this comes in is, again, how does this all factor? And here are some examples of some of the games that I've played. In Marvel Contest of Champions, there are a lot of purchases in that game that are worthless. They are essentially new player traps. Why should I spend $5 for 1,000 currency if I get the special reward that gives me 3,000 for $3? And
Mm-hmm.
the game is full of those. I've watched expert level players at Contest of Champions, and they know exactly what purchases to go for to get the most bang out of their buck. And the game even goes a mile ahead of that. That every time you roll a 4-star or higher character, it pops up with its own limited time microtransaction to get more stuff out of that. I mean, they do that literally every time you get a 4-star or higher pull. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And with something like Illusion Connect, for instance, I bought their $10 purchase with their VIP because it was a one-time purchase that gives me 5 free summons every week. That is a one-time deal. It gives you value going forward, and it worked for me. But then what they did for their New Year's celebration was, and you're going to love this, Shard, speaking about personalization and cosmetics,
Mm-hmm.
they had a purchase for $100
Mm.
that was, that's not the worst part. It was a random chance
Mm.
of getting different skins.
Mm.
That was the whole purchase. So somebody could get every skin in the game, somebody else could get nothing. And there was $100 buy-in, and you couldn't spend free currency for that.
Mm. Yeah.
And I think everybody hated that microtransaction for a very good reason. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, at the heart of this conversation, what am I getting for spending money? A lot of free to play games, spending money is just basically, throwing money on the fire and watching it burn because you're not getting anything guaranteed. This goes back to what we said regarding Hearthstone. I give you $4, $5, whatever. I don't know what I'm going to get out of that. It's the same thing that we see from a lot of these games. That I give money, who knows what I get? I could get some amazing, super ultra rare character, or I get something that is completely worthless. And again, it's akin to me just taking my wallet out and throwing it in the fire.
Yeah. And continue bouncing off yours back to Neon Continuum. We also have subscriptions in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the subscriptions, what they will, the purpose they're in there for, the main purpose is people even people who have control over their money somewhat can go out of control kind of thing. And if they want to invest in the game and support the game, but they're afraid of going out of control kind of thing, they can buy one of the subscription models kind of thing, which would be, they get X things every month and charges them every month kind of thing on the subscription. And the subscription would be a little bit cheaper than buying everything singular because like the subscription is the way to go. And the thing is honestly, we want to have people on the subscriptions kind of thing. Not, which is part of the reason why we made it a best deal kind of thing. Because like, that's, steady income every month. And we would rather have steady income every month rather than a huge spike when we first release the game and then nothing after that kind of thing. We would rather have, we'd rather have a flatter line rather than a hockey stick. And, we're still going to have a hockey stick, but the subscriptions is going to try to flatten the line to a certain point, even out the line. And, because like it's better to have dependable income than it is to have really good pay, every so often kind of thing. Would you rather get, I don't know, would you rather take a job that, pays like, $20,000, but you may not have another job for another 2 years. It could be 2 years. It could be 8 years. It could be, 3 months. But you're not going to have that. Or would you rather have, I don't know, $400 every 2 weeks or week or whatever kind of thing? You know,
And to get to Richard's comment, because actually I think Rats and Richard's comment up there kind of go hand in hand. Rat's Tail wants them to want to buy, not have to buy.
mm-hmm.
And then Richard asks, how, we agree there are evil microtransactions. What would a non-abusive mobile free-to-play model look like? And ultimately, the challenge is you want your every microtransaction to have value. Again, that's kind of the point of the system. You want people to want to spend money, but you have
and you
to
don't
do
want them
it
to be forced into it.
exactly, and it's tough to do. And there are
and at the same time, you also don't want your free players to feel neglected, because your free players is the lifeblood of your game. If all your free players quit, then your paying players are going to quit after that, because there ain't going to be nobody to play against. So you have to treat your free players well, and and that means avoiding paywall.
Yeah,
because paywalls tells all the free players, screw you, you can't have this stuff.
Yeah, and again, you have to. I think this is another big point of what you just said there. We see people will argue. Oh, hopefully my voice didn't put them out there, Chris. But you see people will argue in a lot of these monetized games and say that at the high level play is when, the real game begins. This is, the true test. This is when money is no longer a factor. Somebody argued with me on Twitter, like a CEO of one of the mobile games, did just that. And I asked her this question: how much money did it take to get to that point? And she never got back to me. It reminds me again of like Ramin's story when they were grilling an EA executive and she like ran out of the room when they were asking her question. And the point is, oh, my voice is really dying here.
She ran to get a lawyer.
Yeah. The point is, oh, wow. Hopefully my voice will survive. 1 second. Woo, there we go. The point is that if your game has a high level play, but it can cost $5,000, $10,000 to get to that point, people aren't going to want to do that. You want to make your game as fair as possible. You want people who have not spent 1 cent in your game to be able to challenge the high level players. And this goes back to what Pony was saying a few minutes ago, that there are games where you can be the best damn player in the world. You don't spend money, you don't get lucky with loot boxes, none of that matters. Like I said, when I played Hearthstone, like I fought against somebody who literally kept playing a legendary card every turn. So it was basically like, I did this amazing move, legendary card. And it basically gets at points like, why even bother playing? And that is what you want to avoid, what Shark just said. If I ever feel like, why am I even playing this game if I'm not spending money? I'm going to quit.
Well, mechanical advantage is a really loose term, because like it all depends. Like, in my game, like it's a CCG. So I mean, technically all the cards have different powers on them, kind of thing. And the thing is, some cards are more powerful than others, but they're not directly more powerful because of the way I built the system.
You're not artificially saying, you're not just raising the number of value on your higher rarity cards.
It's not just, if it's a rare card, it gets higher values, kind of thing. It's not that if it's a rare card, it gets, power volumes, powers. I mean, they may get that, but it's not about that. It's the fact is these powers and everything and the stat numbers mean absolutely nothing if you don't have the strategy to use them.
Yeah. And
And I'm designing my game in such a way that if you have a pro player of my game, they can
mhm,
grab a starter deck and they can go against somebody who is a moderate player that has every card in the game for the last 500 sets. And they just have the starter deck from one set. And they will completely own them.
yeah, and that right there is a very important point. That a lot of free to play games will have their ultra rare characters have higher base and higher low and end stats. So a ultra rare character is literally better than every common or rare character in the game. And that is a very big issue when it comes to pay to win. Again, one of the things you want to avoid is there should never be an option in your game that is worthless. And we
Mm-hmm.
see this with a lot of hero collector gacha Maya games. They'll have 600 characters in their game. Only the 50 ultra rares can actually do anything in them.
Yeah,
Like,
I
what?
know a lot of people are going to look at my game and say that, hey, these commons that have no card powers are worthless, and it's not. They're not worthless, even though they don't have card powers. I mean, some of the commons will have card powers, kind of thing. At least
Mhm,
I'm assuming they will. But
mhm,
because I don't have all that many that doesn't have card powers. But like the ones that don't have card powers have a lot higher stats and
mhm,
they're going to be pretty affordable to play. And also, the thing with my stat system is it's not just a game of the bigger number wins kind of thing.
mhm,
My stats have three different versions, technically 27 different stats. It had all the stat numbers run 1 through 9. And there's a blue version, a red version, and a yellow version. And the blue version is greater than, so bigger numbers win. The red numbers are less than, so lower number wins, and the yellow numbers are equal to, which means they can only beat one number, but when they win, they get bonus points, kind of thing. So in that term, defensive wise, and this is where a lot of games get in trouble mechanically, is you have cards that are you play it and it's extra rare and nobody can beat it. And when you have that unbeatable card or unbeatable thing, then you don't have anything. But you don't have any way to beat it. But when you have this system that I have, every card is beatable by exactly 9 other stats. There's no more, no less. Everyone has one that is equal to it, beatable by yellow, and everyone that has 8 that are higher or lower that are beatable by red or blue.
yeah. And to Richard's comment there, that actually takes me to a point I wanted to say. That another thing you want to avoid, again, is that there's a difference between introducing a new character or a new mechanic that is universally good versus introducing a new character or new mechanic that is good given mastery or what your strategy is.
Mm-hmm.
And and again, like the one that I'm playing right now the most is Illusion Connect. When they introduce their characters come in different classes, there's a warrior class, spellcaster, summoner. Like I do a lot of summoner characters. So if I see a new banner for an ultra character that's a warrior, I don't really care about that. I can skip that. And that is one of the things you want to have in your game. You don't want everything to be, oh my god, I must get it right away or I'm useless. With Shark's example in Neon Continuum, it's that very same thing that if you introduce a new card or a new mechanic, if it fits my deck, I'll be interested in that. If it doesn't, I can just say, screw it. And I can still win with my potential strategy.
Yeah. So the number way to avoid pay to win is by making it strategy to win.
Mm-hmm.
And when you
That's a lot harder to do than pay to win, obviously.
yeah, you can't just do bigger numbers. Do when strategy matters, then that means paying matters less.
Mm-hmm.
With my particular game, like when you buy more cards, you gain more potential kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that potential can potentially screw you up or potentially make you better depending on how you build your deck and how your game skills are to putting together that deck. You know, like a professional, you know, that knows the ins and outs of everything can have all the cards and build the most amazing deck ever. Where a newbie can, you know, find that deck list and buy all the cards and buy that, you know, make that deck and everything and play it and suck really, really bad. When strategy matters, that's what really counts. That will, you know, very much limit pay to win.
Yeah, the opposite of that, what you don't want is to say that this character, like, let's say if you're playing the game, you can see my hand. Like, let's say this is the power of my deck or my army, my party, whatever you want to say it. If I buy this one character, it shoots up to here. There's no strategy, there's no choice. You're basically saying this character, I am now automatically 15 times better in this game. And that's what happened with Marvel Strike Force. Like for the time, the Ultron was considered the ultimate character. It was the hardest character to obtain, and his whole powers, he can summon an entire party onto himself that buffs him. There was literally no counter to that ability for, I think, a good 2 years of Marvel Strike Force. So basically, high-level play was, do you have Ultron? No, you're going to lose every time. Do you have him? Then it's just a battle of, you know, who has the higher numbers.
Yeah, whose Ultron is better.
Yeah. Now, the thing about meta, to what Ratsail is saying, and that's another very tricky comment, is that meta must always be changing. This is why new content gets introduced. Because even if your game is the most fairest of the fair, and I won't get to a Richard's comment too after that, the most fairest of the fair, if it only has 100 options in your game, there will always be one best option. And
unless you're doing a symmetrical design. If you're doing asymmetrical, then there's always going to be something that's better than the other.
Yeah, or season-long play. Like, you need to keep things shaken up, because people will find your best strategy. Again, for any developers watching this who don't really know this, it's not really a secret. Hardcore players are really great at figuring out your game. And they will break your game incredibly easy. And then, as you said a minute ago, people will put out tier lists. They will put out guides and saying, you get this, this, and this, you will be a Diamond League player in a matter of days. And you have to be able to fight that if you want to maintain any semblance of a long-term developed game.
Yeah. And you want to prevent that as much as possible, because while there is a meta, if the meta requires strategy and thinking to it, then you just added a whole nother layer. Because, like, you know, certain people, you know, this may be the meta, but every time they play it, they can't do anything with it. But when they go with this other thing that isn't the meta, they're really good at it, and they can actually beat the meta kind of thing. And the important thing about the meta is the meta can't be too over everything else. Everything else has to have a chance to win. You know, with asymmetrical designs kind of thing, you know, everything is going to have different power levels and whatnot, you know, but hopefully you design it in such a way that the difference between them is this deck, you know, when you build it this way with this meta, you know, kind of thing, you're 9.9% effective. When you build it under, you can build a deck under this one that's, you know, 9.8. You can build another one under this one that's 9.7, and another one here that's 9.6. And even the 9.6 can beat the 9.9, but it would take strategy and effort and knowledge of the game to be able to pull it off. You have to be better than your opponent. You have to be able to cover that 0.3 gap with your skills over the other player.
Yeah, it should not be a case of I have this one card or this one character.
or this
I'm
one deck.
now, I'm now 5 points ahead of everybody else, and there's no way to beat that. And we
Unless I
saw
horribly screw up.
Yeah. We saw this with Miracle Rogue. And again, I keep going back because that was the example when I played Hearthstone. That people were winning with that because there was no counter. There was literally no counter other than if the player screws up and they can't pull that off.
I wouldn't even make one even close to insurmountable. It needs to be, if you're paying for advantage, it needs to be a very small advantage. It needs to be basically insignificant, essentially.
It's to compare to skill.
Yeah. Like if we're talking about like an RPG where you buy, Final Fantasy characters kind of thing, you can't, you don't want to give them even, a character with a 1,000 attack power and 1,000 defense while free characters only have like 900, because that's a clear 10% advantage. And, unless they screw up by a major 10%, that ain't gonna work. Now then, if the free players can get a character that has 990 attack, just short by 10 kind of thing, then if that one player if that one player with the paid character makes one wrong or slightly wrong move, or even RNG does not favor him properly in crits, he's going to lose.
Yeah. And like as we said, when it comes to this idea of lateral moves, like you don't want somebody to be objectively stronger. And an example I think Ramin talked about was the use of premium ammo when he was designing stuff like a World of Battleships, and what he changed with the World of Tanks model.
You mean World of Warships?
What was that?
You mean World of Warships?
Yeah, I think that was it. I think he did World of Warships. And he also had the mobile version of World of Tanks. That the premium ammo maybe adds 2 to 5% more damage to your shells. But if you're not hitting that enemy, or if you're still hitting them in their front armor, it's not going to do a damn thing. You can spend as much money on premium ammo as you want, but if I get a flanking shot with my tank, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it is a game-by-game basis. This is not going to be a do this and your game is automatically fair to everybody.
Yeah. But we can say that if you put a paywall in your game, you're being unfair to people.
And if that paywall provides a huge boost compared to somebody who doesn't pay for it, it gets into exploitive territory. As we said earlier, you want people to want to spend money in your game. You don't want them to feel like they're in need to spend money in your game.
Yeah. Because you want to foster your free players, because your free players is the life of your game. If your free players leave, you're screwed. Because let's say you have 10,000 players in your game, probably about 9,800 of them are going to be free players. Mm-hmm. And if you say, I'm screwing all your free players, then you're going to lose all of those, and then you're only going to keep the 200. And then the 200 are going to be like, yeah, there's nobody to play against here. This game is dead, and I quit. But before that, they'll start cannibalizing each other.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget, like, if people feel your game is pay to win, and it is, they are going to tell everybody that your game is pay to win, and nobody new is going to come to your game.
Mm-hmm. And anybody that comes in there to the 200, that are really OP and nobody else is there, they're going to come in there, and the second they get in there, everybody's going to dogpile on them. They're fresh meat. It's like a lone pork chop thrown to like 200 wolves. That pork chop is not even going to hit the ground. That pork chop is going to be torn into 5 billion pieces before it even gets halfway to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And, and they're going to quit.
Mm-hmm. And when they quit, they're not coming back.
Nope. And over time, those 200 will quit because they'll start cannibalizing each other.
Mm-hmm. And then you only have 150 people giving you money,
And then
and then
those will,
120.
mm-hmm, and, it'll keep on going. And, also by the time you get down to 200, probably nobody's giving you money at that point anymore.
They may, and that's another interesting point that we see from some of these games that, oh, excuse me, that the rewards for spending money will often allow that player to not need to spend money anymore because they're just getting all the free stuff to begin with. We see this with a lot of PvP focused games that the top 20 or top 100 players, they may get like $10 to $20 of premium currency for each win or each season.
Mm-hmm.
And since they already have the best stuff, they don't need to spend any more money. And this is where a lot of people will say, oh, well, it's fair now because they're just earning it for free. But again, how much did it take to get to that point while all the free players are, grasping for scraps?
Mm-hmm. So, on those games, the higher you are, the better you do.
And then the better you do, the less you need to spend.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this could be, I think, one of the more general ways that you want to approach this. And this goes back to what Char was saying in the On Continuum. You want every player to have a fair shot at winning, and winning without spending money. You don't want somebody's credit card or their checkbook to determine success in your game.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to be a battle of the pocketbooks, basically. A battle of the
Money,
wallets.
yeah, money can help. We're not saying nobody should spend any money in your game.
Mm-hmm.
What we're saying is that if I spend $100 in your game, I have just as much chance of winning as somebody who spent 50 cents or $0 on your game.
Yeah. I think a more interesting facet would be, let's assume that you have done all these consumer friendly things and where everything is balanced. Now, how do you actually make money
Mm-hmm.
while having everything fair? Because at this point, they can win by just being a free player. So why should they pay? Why should they pay if they can already win?
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that's a game to game basis kind of thing. And you need to find out reasons why they have to pay, because because we have those really cool customizable cosmetics that look really good, that everybody's going to be different kind of thing, and everybody gets basically their own custom cosmetic made by personalized by themselves, that
Mm-hmm.
pretty much nobody else has, or maybe literally nobody else has. And there's so many of them, and there's so many different characters, and you could change it every single day, kind of thing. And you could change it every day for years and years and years off of just the first set if you have all the cosmetics. And the first sets, there's going to be a new set in theory every 3 months, kind of thing. So like, I mean, you could play a you could buy all the cosmetics in every game, play with a different cosmetic on your card. Completely different, not completely different, but you could have play completely different from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you know you can play a match every 100 matches a day and still not go through all the combinations of all the cosmetics that you would get before the next set comes out. So there's just all that value in there, and that's something that people are going to want, and
Mm-hmm.
getting people to want things are very key. We have two different versions of foils for our card. We're going to have a
Mm-hmm.
normal foil card where it's you just see reflective kind of thing, and then we're going to have I forget how to call it, but it's the not just shiny, but it's going to have a rainbow shine to it. So instead of just reflecting the colors that's on it, it's going to reflect the rainbow as well as those colors. and a couple other things, and it's going to look, you very, very different. And, you know, people are going to want that. They're going to want both of those.
Yep.
And,
And
people are going to want, more strategy in the game, more potential strategy, at least probably. If they're serious about playing and they're serious about strategy, they're going to want more potential strategies kind of thing. They're going to want more of this other stuff. Now, then there's multiple ways they can get it. They can buy it in packs. They can buy it in starter decks. They can buy it in, uh, the, marketplace, the shop. And, there's a lot of things that they could want. And, the thing is you want to create as many things that are wanted as much as possible kind of thing.
mhm,
That is the key. That's a general key, but that's the key. That and as an indie developer, it's very, very hard to make assets for this
mhm,
kind of thing because scope and everything. So you have to find a way to create that as cheaply as possible. And, I found a lot of ways to do that in mine from a lot of stuff we already have, because we already have the characters, we already have the general card backs. All we got to do is we already have the logo kind of thing. All we have to do is make 3 different backgrounds and put a little code behind it to allow them to customize it, and bam, and we have 100 different characters. So that's 100 different cosmetics kind of thing
yep,
right there. And,
hmm,
cosmetics with a lot of value kind of thing.
mhm. And voice is really dying. I think we may need to wrap things up in a few minutes. But again, the challenge is that you need to be able to keep giving people reasons to play and reasons to buy or reasons to spend money.
Mm-hmm.
And strategy is a big one. Again, you don't want things to become stale in your game. This is the heart of the whole games as a service kind of model. You want people arguably to be playing your game daily, but you don't want to force them to do that. And again, that is a very tricky area that I think is beyond that will take us, I think, way over time for today to get onto that.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I think we're already way over time at this point.
and to Richard's comment earlier about buying classes, again, what do those classes give the player? Is it new strategies, is it new functionality? Can the player earn that through just in-game play? Now, if
Yeah.
it is a case that
Is
you
it
are
paywalled,
buying, what was that?
basically? Is it paywalled, basically?
Yeah. Now, if it's an expansion, like if you are offering like mini expansions, like I spend $6 and I get a new character, a new map, new weapons, and let's say this is a monthly or bi-monthly thing, that's at least a little bit more fair if that's your model. That
Mm-hmm.
you are selling like these packs of content.
Yeah. Like basically a DLC,
Yeah.
essentially.
So my final point that I want to at least spend a few minutes on, then this will be it for me, is something that was said earlier about time and money. This is ultimately the big question when it comes to these games and where the value lies. What do you focus on as a developer, and what do you want your players to focus on? Because that's it. Those are the only two things you can really charge someone when it comes to playing a game. Do you want them to just buy everything? Do you want them to spend hours upon playing? Yeah, me too, Chris. And
Yeah.
this is something that Valve has spoken about extensively with Team Fortress. That you can play the game for a week and get, I forget, like X amount of free items. Or you spend money and get immediately what you want. And when you spend in that game, there's no, at least when you're buying an item directly through the store, there's no mystery. If I want this hat that's priced at $3.99, I spend $3.99. It's my hat. I own it now. It's not
Mm-hmm.
I spend $3.99 and then somebody spins the roulette wheel around.
Yeah. Which is the reason why why Magic the Gathering by gambling laws are required to list everything that you
Mm-hmm.
get in there, have set values and everything else. And to Richard, well, what does the Beast Lord do? Does it give you a mechanical advantage in the game? Can you get it for free?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Or can you get something comparative?
yeah.
If you introduce, let's say, a character or strategy that has no counters whatsoever in your game, that's a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
So, for you, Shark, do you have any final points for today?
Um, maybe just a recap.
Mm-hmm.
There is no right way to do monetization, but there are a lot of, in general, bad ways. And you know, secondary currencies kind of thing, um, uh, paywalls,
Mm-hmm.
um, and stuff that forces the the players to be able to get the thing or suck,
Mm-hmm.
or anything with a significant mechanical advantage kind of thing. You know the the key to making money is getting a lot of stuff that the player wants but not needs. You want to remove the need and apply like all of the want. And if anything, if that's like anything else in this world, and I don't know if it is, but I would assume that it is, but that could be an incorrect assumption. But if it's about anything about in this world kind of thing, people will pay way more money and be non-complacent about things they want versus things they need. Like if somebody needs a toilet, kind of thing, they're going to be, like, ooh, $100.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want that. Like I might just shit out in the yard for the week, kind of thing for for the rest of my life, save that $100 kind of thing. You know, but if you're talking about like air conditioning in a car, yeah, I do not want to be hot. I want to be cold. And let me tell you, I will spend $3,000 to have an air conditioner put in my car, even though those parts are lesser expensive parts to make than it is to actually repair my car to make it functional, kind of thing. Because like they mark up the heck out of those prices on the parts and the labor kind of thing. Because like as I'm certified as a mechanic and everything. I know for a fact that, air conditioning parts and labor to do them are about 10 times higher than every other part that could go on your car.
Mm-hmm.
So like a computer that requires your car to run kind of thing, it may cost, $500, but it probably costs about $250 to make. So they're not making all that much money. The $3,000 that goes into your air conditioning, that stuff probably cost them, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
like $200 to make all of it, and they selling it for 3,000. Like people will pay way more in general for the stuff they want versus stuff they need.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if that translates into games, that means you can make way more money by making stuff they can buy that they want, and
And not
taking
forcing
out,
them to buy what they need.
taking out every need they have.
Yeah. And to Richard's comment, this will be the last thing because I need to go about if your game is not competitive. That is not an excuse anymore. Because if your game has any interactions or anything that has abusive microtransactions, it is bad whether or not you are playing competitively or cooperatively. In fact, cooperatively can be even worse. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you say people, okay, we're in a 6-man group and you're only using the basic character, you are worthless to us. We don't want to play with you. There goes that content. I've seen this in a lot of multiplayer based games where if you don't have those characters that your guild needs, doesn't matter if you're best friends with everyone, they're going to kick you out for that for the whale who has everything at the highest level.
Yeah, and you're going to ruin, that would ruin friendships.
Oh yes.
And not just friendships, but a lot of other things. I mean, you just knocked over, at that rate, you just knocked over the first domino of many dominoes that are going to have, very much catastrophic results. Catastrophes. I can't say it.
My voice is dying, so I can't help you right now.
It's going to have very bad results in real life, and if you broke up a friendship over that kind of thing, and and keep in mind that you didn't make any money there because they didn't buy the stuff to give you more money.
They just got pissed off, and now they're giving you no money.
Yeah, and you lost the player, killing your player numbers. You freed up a spot in there to encourage more people to spend more money, and you ruined several friendships in the process, kind of thing. If that was the kind of system that was in your game, kind of thing, and you don't want to do that, and because ruining a friendship is just the first domino of a lot of dominoes and a lot of drama that comes down the path, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's okay, Richard. Yeah, and again, like this is a very tough thing to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
When I started with Ramin, we've had this discussion that developers are playing around with neurochemistry, with how they get people addicted to these games, addicted to these purchases, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And
Well, some of them actually hire
yeah,
neurophysicists, and they train them to they tell them to get us the most money that you can possibly get us, and then they manipulate they pull every last string like you're a puppet,
yeah,
and they will
and
suck every last bit of money out of you, kind of thing.
yeah, and that's this will be my official final point then. That when we talk about this is not stupid. These are not lazy developers. This is not somebody just saying, who has no idea what they're doing, putting these systems in. There is, galaxy brain level work that goes into manipulating people to spend money in these games. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever you see like a YouTuber or a streamer scream and holler that, oh, why are these developers being stupid and they have, this free offer or they do these special things, that was not done out of stupidity. That was done because it works. And the people who understand this stuff, they're playing with a lot of power. Like I said, with Ramin and oh hey Mojo, like as I said with Ramin and myself, when we've looked at all these games and we've had our discussions, we could wipe out people's wallets and ruin friendships, as Shark said,
Mm-hmm.
because we know those levers that can be pulled to satisfy them. And when you start understanding this stuff, you have to be careful with how you apply it. Again, as we've said, there's a reason why we talk about games like the one more turn aspect of Civilization and XCOM with high credits and popularity, because that is making a product that people want to keep playing. When you do something abusive and stuff like the Zynga, Candy Crush model, that kind of stuff, you are trying to make people need to play and need to spend money.
And need
And
to spend every last minute on your game.
or every last cent in their wallet.
Yeah, or both,
Yeah.
Because
And
like I know like some games will get you where, you need to be on at this exact time, at this
mm-hmm.
exact place. And they're like every 2 hours kind of thing. And the only way to possibly go to all of them is if you never get 8 hours sleep in your life.
Oh,
You can only sleep like maybe an hour and a half at a time kind of thing. Wake up for like 30 minutes, get yourself good and wake, then play for a few minutes, do this thing,
mm-hmm.
and then exit out and then go back to sleep for an hour and a half, wake
Oh yeah,
back up,
Marvel Puzzle Quest did that. Oh god.
and like there there's so many things that are wrong about that. So many things. And
Hmm?
that is, even if it's not manipulating money out of you, it's manipulating time out of you, and time is money, and
Yep.
manipulation is manipulation, and you're still ruining somebody else's life
Yeah.
because of that.
And this is why I'm becoming exceedingly more annoyed with daily content. That if it's daily, I shouldn't be spending more than 10 minutes to do it. Like, don't force me to spend 30 to 40 minutes of my time a day to play and keep up with your title. And like with something like with Marvel Puzzle Quest, it was literally just that. It was, do you want to spend $10 per tournament? Or do you want to wake up at 6:30 in the morning and make sure to defend your team for the last hour of the tournament?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, that's what we were talking about, what Chris is saying, that good game design. Good game design makes somebody want to keep playing the game. Bad design is making them convincing them that they need to keep playing the game.
Yep. And need people will get pissed off at that. That they will, like I was pissed off with that Bleach game that I played, and I wanted to quit, and and I kept on playing because I felt like I needed to play, and that need to quit, kind of thing, wanting to quit and the need to play continued for like I think it was a month before I finally actually gathered everything I could to actually quit because it was very hard when I had so much invested into it to quit. And
Mm-hmm.
part of that was calling the bank and making sure that I got my money back, which I didn't get all of it back, but I got a vast majority of it back. I
Mm-hmm.
think I paid like $400 into that game. I think I got about, I think the bank got me, I think like 280 of that back.
You can quit when you want, right, Chris? Yep. Yep. And to Richard's point there, again, we keep saying final points that if you do good design, it usually means you're going to keep doing good design. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you kind of, fall off the wagon, it's a lot harder to get back on and convince people that you're on the up and up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nightmare of live service, is that everything is a one-shot chance. You piss off people one time, you just lost them forever. And if you,
Well, more it depends on how bad you screwed up.
yeah,
But you potentially lost them forever, and if you did not lose them forever, you definitely uh lost them temporarily, and you're going to have a hard time earning them back.
mm-hmm.
You know,
And
psychology says that for every one bad thing, it takes
mhm,
10 good things to equal that out. Keep that
yeah,
in mind. Like if you screw up on one thing, you have to make them very happy on 10 other things to get them to forgive you realistically. And
mm-hmm.
and at that point they don't like you. They've just forgiven you.
You're basically back at zero for them,
Mm-hmm.
and that means you have to work even harder to get them back up.
And get them
And
happy with you.
yeah, and this is why, this will be a complete tangent for this talk. This is why quality of life features are so big for mobile and free to play games, because they don't want to annoy you for the first 14 to 17 days. Because if you're annoyed in that period, there's no investment. You can just quit that game and never play it again. When we spoke with Jack, he said he's quit mobile games after 10 seconds. Because guess what? There's nothing holding you when you start playing one of these games. And I've done
Mm-hmm.
that myself. There are a lot of them. I'm just like, I load it up. I'm like, what the hell is this? Uninstall, and I'm never going back to that game. And you will have people who will do just that in any free to play game.
Yep.
So there's our melancholy phrase to end this discussion on.
Yeah.
So, as a preview for next time, we will be discussing the social aspect when it comes to video games. The challenges of getting guilds, alliances, keeping people happy and friendly, and promoting that atmosphere in your game.
Yep. And which can very much go into having a toxic community or having
Hmm.
a really, positive one. And, that, is, you control a lot of that through your game design. And,
Hmm.
your monetization is also part of that.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yeah.
this is a, continuation of, basically this is our, I guess, 4-part series on, kind of browser games and what they kind of go into, because we started off with browser game, which spawned the
Mm.
last week's topic, this week's topic, and next week's topic,
Yep.
which,
And if you
which may spawn other topics.
hmm player trust could be an interesting one too. What Chris just said.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, that sounds like it kind of ties into the next week's topic, the
yeah,
socializing.
yeah. But it could also tie into just game development in general, especially for indie developers. And if you want to continue this discussion, be sure to join our respective Discords. You'll find links to that in the descriptions of both my video as well as Shark's recording as well.
Yeah, and there's 2 Discords, one for mine and one for Josh's. There's also 2 Twitters down there for each of us, and there's a YouTube channel for each one of us, and a subscribe and a bell for each one of us.
Yeah. And I hear you, Mojo. I've become the resident carpenter of my family as well. Yep. So, for those of you watching, you can follow me on Twitter at GWBicer.
And you can follow me at Nexus Games INC1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for that masochism, right, Board?
Yeah.
We will be back Thursday around 3:30 for our weekly show Indie Inquiries, where we review indie game store pages and offer critiques and advice. If you'd like to submit a game for that show, please get in touch with either one of us. And we do these live shows every Sunday starting around 4:30 p.m. ET on both of our channels.
Mm-hmm. And, you can tune in on my side every Friday at 2 p.m. Central Time and check out my dev streams where you get to watch me make Neon Continue and give feedback and whatnot. And also, there's every Tuesday I do a game stream at 2 p.m. Central Time, as well as the first the first Saturday of every month we do our dev chats on our Discord, where you can get all kinds of basically inside info. It's not inside info, but inside-ish info. It's the closest thing you'll get to inside info without being on the team, basically. Yeah.
And I do my regular streams nightly, and we have developer interviews and casts when we get those times in. I always make announcements on my Discord about them.
And I try to announce everything I do on Discord too.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
Discord is the place to be
yeah.
on both of our Discords.
So, with all that said, thank you everybody for tuning in live or recorded. If you have any comments, be sure to leave them down below. And come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where is in the art and science of games. Until next time, take care.
So yeah.